The Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, Texas is home to beautiful native plants and flowers, but it is also a leading center for research and education dedicated to the conservation of native Texas plants, since the center was founded in 1982 by Lady Bird Johnson.
I think Mrs. Johnson really wanted to get the word out about the importance of native plants. I like to say it's not just about pretty plants, okay? Plants are beautiful and they attract people. People love the color, they like what they look like, they smell good. But I think Mrs. Johnson was a lot more serious than that, but that was sort of her hook to draw people in. The Wildflower Center is her legacy, and beyond that, I think she has built a place where people can come and get educated about plants and plant conservation, especially kids. This is a great place for kids, and they come here and they love it, and it just really gets them started, I think, on the path to thinking about, conservation and native plants and taking care of the planet. It'd be great if we could all sort of leave a legacy like that, but she certainly did a lot in her life. We educate a lot of kids. We have school kids coming in here every day of the week, and we run about 1,000 kids a month through the gardens, and we have specific programs for them on conservation and habitats. Kids are getting the message very early on that the environment's important, and that sustainability is important, and that the outdoors is your friend, and that life's better outside. And I think we're sort of making kids realize that this is a wonderful thing to do, is to be outside and play and be children, not just be inside a house and watch TV.
The Wildflower Center has many programs aimed at education and conservation of native plants, including the seed banking program headed up by Karen Clary.
Seed banking is an insurance policy. So it allows us to collect seeds of plants that are here, and if they get wiped out or destroyed, we have that seed which actually contains the germplasm for that species. It's also used for research. There are research labs all over the world that are doing experimental work on hardiness or resistance to disease and predators, and so we loan our seeds out to them to do that kind of research. My goal as seed bank program manager is to continue to collect seeds of all native Texas species. And for me, that's a tall order because there are about 5,000 species to collect. We're about 10% of the way, so I have 90% more of the Texas seeds to collect.
Clary and her team go to great lengths to preserve these seeds for future use and research.
This is the seed lab, and we keep seeds sort of resting in here, and the way you do that is once you clean seeds, you want to keep them dry, and so you have to worry about the humidity. And what we do is we put the seeds, this represents a seed packet here. Each of these is a packet of seeds, and we store them with silica gel. And so that's one way we store them and keep them dry. And the goal is to keep them dry so that they don't absorb water. We also have the seed cabinet. And so this is another way we store our seeds. We store them in the bags here, and this cabinet is made out of cedar wood, so it keeps insects out. It's naturally repellent, and so we're drying some of the seeds that we collected more recently in these bags, and they just hang here. This is our dehumidifier. It's not a refrigerator, it's just a cabinet that keeps the humidity at a certain temperature. And so right now we're keeping it at about 12 degrees centigrade and 17% constant humidity. So when you keep seeds at 17% constant humidity, it really just keeps them in a suspended state of animation. And then this is our seed freezer, and this is where we keep our seeds for long-term storage. And this is actually, this little freezer contains our seed bank. And inside this seed bank are the 600 species of plants that I told you we collected. So this is the mother lode right here. So let me open it for you, okay? So it's a pretty simple deal. I mean, we've collected them, we've dried them, we've cleaned them, and now we've packaged them, and we put them in these kind of cryovac containers, each one labeled with a species, and then when someone requests some of these seeds, we just snip the top open, count some seeds out, seal it back, and send them off. So it's a pretty simple operation, really.
The Wildflower Center's seed bank program is more necessary than ever considering the variety of threats native Texas plants face today, like the ongoing drought.
We have really had to conserve water and be very careful about that. We've looked for other ways to store water and capture water, and we have cisterns here that we use, but we've also been looking at ways to just further conserve the water that we use, because we use a lot of water to water plants. Because of the drought, a lot of the critters that normally don't eat our plants are coming in and eating them, so we have a lot of predation. We have hungry deer, we have hungry rabbits, we have hungry rats, and they all come in and try to eat our plants.
Native Texas plants must also cope with other invasive plant species. Bastard cabbage is notorious because it is threatening Texas state flower, the bluebonnet.
This plant is such a problem because it directly competes with bluebonnets. It germinates at the same time in the winter as the bluebonnets, but it's a much more aggressive grower. So bluebonnets have to fight with this bastard cabbage for their little spot of soil, and they often lose.
Human development also has unintended consequence for Texas native plants.
Development, just by its nature, is ground disturbing activity, and it destroys native plants.
The Wildflower Center recently took in a large population of endangered towbush fishhook cacti to cultivate until they can be reintroduced into their native region that is currently under development in Kimball County. It takes a lot of man-hours to do the work required to preserve our native habitats, so the Wildflower Center is always in need of new volunteers.
We have tons of volunteer opportunities at the Wildflower Center. Every year we have about 600 volunteers who come and work here, and many come every week, and they do the lion's share of the work here. When you see the gardens, they look so beautifully tended, and everything looks in place, and all the colors are good, and the plants are here, and well, all that's done by volunteers. They do all the weeding, they do all the planting, they help us straighten up, they do a lot of the maintenance work. They keep the plants watered. They're invaluable. We couldn't stay open without them, and there are lots and lots of volunteer opportunities. One of our main goals is to educate people about using native plants, and primarily landowners and homeowners, so that when they go out to buy plants, they make a choice to buy native instead of non-native plants. Because when you plant native plants, you really do a lot of good conservation work. First of all, you save a lot of water because most of them are drought tolerant. They live longer, so you're not replacing your plants over and over and over again and spending more money. But they also are the plants that our native insects, our pollinators, evolved with. So it's really important to keep those plants around.
The Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center will continue its work until all native Texas species are preserved in the seed bank, so future generations will be able to stop and smell the flowers. The statues at various locations on campus commemorate historical figures and events while providing an aesthetic quality to campus. The Bobcat statue located on the quad is the first statue many visitors notice.
Majority of them are either donated from other third parties, like either alumni or kind of programs from the university. But yeah, it's going to be the majority of them are through exterior funds.
The Fighting Stallions statue located on the west end of the quad stands 17 feet tall and marks the designated free speech zone on campus. It was donated to the university in 1951 by sculptor Anna Hyatt Huntington.
We actually have a tradition that's actually like our freedom of speech area. So you can go inside there and say, whatever it is you need to get off your chest or stuff like that. And the tradition is that you rub the horse's hoof, and then you walk down and you give LBJ a high five.
The LBJ statue in front of Flowers Hall memorializes former U.S. President and Texas State graduate Lyndon Baines Johnson. Texas State is the only university in Texas to graduate a former president. The Vaquero statue in front of Old Main is the newest statue on campus. Donations from the Whitliff family in 2013 funded its construction.
The one that I kind of like the most is going to be the Vaquero statue because it was built kind of representing the long-lasting heritage that Mexico and the U.S. have of the cowboy.
Texas State University has a beautiful campus, and its statues add to that quality. They are monuments fitting for an institute of higher learning. For Bobcat Update, I'm Jeremy Goble.
An apartment locator, who asked to remain anonymous, says that complexes housing more than 200 students are debating whether to place a weight limit for dogs. If enforced, the limit would be 50 pounds, and pets exceeding the limit would not be allowed on the property. Some places already require residents to disclose whether they have pets and how big they are.
So here at the Grove, you can have a dog that's at least 50 pounds. If it is over 50 pounds, unfortunately, you do have to get it approved by the GM, but a lot of the dogs that we have here are over 50 pounds, so our GM is a dog lover, so it's really easy to get by with having a dog here.
According to a recent survey by the Campus Crest Corporation, at least 65% of all dog owners on college properties have at least one dog that exceeds the 50-pound limit. Some feel that this could have a negative effect on the campus community market.
Well, that's going to affect college students, and it's going to affect the properties because a lot of college students, I feel, have dogs and stuff like that.
Others feel that this could lead to losing a dear friend.
It's just like having a big dog anywhere else. He's my best friend, and it's awesome having my best friend with me at all times. And since school gets so stressful, he helps me de-stress.
Apartment locators say the decision for the weight limit will be announced by December 1st. For Bobcat Update, I'm Keaton Hahn.
Roger Collenbeek has been a faculty member at Texas State University since 1988. His work has been displayed in Austin, Sarasota, Chicago, and now Texas State. Collenbeek's recent collection is, until November 14th, in Gallery 3 of the Midi Art Building, which is located at Comanche Street and Sesame Drive.
I wouldn't say that they're inspired from any place other than they're inspired from all places and home. And the whole concept of how do any of us balance all our desires, all the things we dream about.
Collenbeek's portraits fill the window display in the lobby of the Midi building. The display features people he met during a trip to Yangon, Burma. In his pamphlet, he transcribed the conversations he recorded with the locals.
If I'm on the road, I think about a life at home that I have that is very, very enriching with my family, which is my wife. When at home, it's easy to fall into a certain wanderlust.
The galleries are open every day from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. For Bobcat Update, I'm Jacqueline Coles.
The San Marcos Police Department says most of the arrests and citations they make in the early morning hours are related to drunken behavior. For example, people are caught jaywalking or driving while drunk. The editorial board of the University Star newspaper proposed an idea that it believes could help. The board is calling for a sober hour policy.
So we thought that it'd be a good idea if bars stayed open an hour later, past 2, where people can use the restroom, sober up, drink water, buy snacks.
The Star editorial said having a sober hour might lead to better behavior.
If there was something that could change the legislation on a state level, then I feel like it'd be very productive and help a lot of people.
Not everyone agrees that the idea will work.
I'm not particularly fond of it because during that hour, technically we're not getting paid. And then on top of that, we already close so late. So if we stay open until about 3, and then about another hour and a half for closing, that doesn't mean I get home until about 5:30.
It would be difficult for a bar owner to justify staying open later and paying that extra labor cost and paying for the extra utilities and all the other things that go into that when they're not able to sell anything.
However, one local establishment has such a policy.
We actually do stay open till 3 a.m. We stay an extra hour after for the kitchen to be open so that we can serve food, we can serve snacks, all that kinds of thing. And the bar still serves water. We don't serve alcohol past 2, but we do stay open till 3 a.m.
No formal action has been taken by the city to adopt such a policy, but the ideas has generated some debate. For Bobcat Update, I'm Catherine Nelson.
Coach Chisholm and her team brought in the win on senior night at the last home game of the regular season. Chisholm became the 22nd collegiate volleyball coach to reach the milestone and only the 13th coach in NCAA Division I history in any sport to reach 800 wins. Coach Chisholm credits her success to all of the players and assistants she has worked with during her 37 years at Texas State. In her words, it's a great day to be a Bobcat.
Some San Marcos businesses are along North LBJ are struggling to attract customers because of the construction in the area. For example, Dos Gatos Kolache Bakery has seen a drop in business due to the poor accessibility. It helps that the bakery can still draw customers who can smell the kolaches as they walk by, and free samples are being given away as an incitement. Businesses in the area are looking forward to the construction project being finished next year.
Texas State University is a school on the rise. Built on a foundation of rich history, Texas State University has grown into one of the top schools in the state. With growing athletics, fine arts, and research programs set against a beautiful backdrop of San Marcos, it's easy to see why Texas State University is the rising star of Texas.